Stop the cap.
All right, we're gonna start this video over fresh. I gotta run to the store, so hopefully I can get this done. But I probably find myself, like I usually do, end up sitting in the parking lot talking to myself before I finish this damn video. But I don't have too much to say about it. So I watched Amazing Lucas's video on this U.S. Navy airman that got killed. Brother answered the door with a gun, and the police officer, within seconds, blows him away. And I'm not trying to get into or have people think that I'm victim blaming, but we got to talk about firearms etiquette. People want to point to, they're like, oh, this is another Bassem Youssef example. I don't know all the particular details of that case, but I don't think he came to the door with a firearm. This is different. And the reactions that I've seen from police officers when they encounter somebody, especially going to what they believe is a domestic with a firearm, they usually shoot first and ask questions later. It's just the way that it plays out. I saw a video the other day of a domestic dispute. White woman comes running out the house, cops running in there, and the guy, big overweight white man, standing by to be a pool table. It's adjacent to the kitchen, and the cop just unloads the magazine on him. And then there was another clip, and this one I don't feel bad about, but there was I guess it was a sting for a pedophile, and the guy came to the door, and then he immediately pulled out the gun, and they were on a balcony. I'm sure some of you have seen that video. I mean, that guy got smoked. Anytime the police officers see a gun, out and in a hand, that's a very bad situation. And the reason I say that firearms etiquette has to be discussed is because a lot of people don't understand firearms etiquette. And what I mean by firearms etiquette, I'm not talking about, the rules of gun safety. That's different. Firearms etiquette are kind of like the unwritten rules in situations where you're in the process of using a firearm and how you should use it. I'll give you a few examples of firearm etiquette and why firearm etiquette is important. Example: if you have a pistol for home defense, or any gun for that matter for home defense, what should be on that gun? A weapon light. Why? So that you can identify your targets, right? See, everybody gets all excited when they want to talk about, self-defense and power tools and everything, but there's not enough conversation about firearms etiquette, because most of these people that advocate for power tools, unlike myself, are not gun people. They're not firearms people. Tariq Nasheed, he's got a video talking on this subject. Just by the look of the title, I disagree with what he's going to say in his video about race soldiers this and race soldiers that. Not saying that race soldiers don't exist, but I disagree with his video on that front. We got to talk about firearms etiquette. And most of the people, Amazing Lucas has Cali brain, because I distinctly remember him making videos talking about gun control, and he grew up in California. Like, guns to them, it's like, guns are bad, okay? And then to hear some of the same people jump up and start talking about, it's my God-given right, like there's some white boys. I'm like, hey, we can talk power tools all day. We can talk about it's our God-given right all day. But unfortunately, in this country, you cannot conduct yourself like that as a black man with a firearm, until it is well known that, that law-abiding citizens are carrying guns. Because right now the reputation is black man with a gun equals street culture. That is what it is. So, etiquette, weapon lights. You got to be able to identify your target. Oh, damn, that's impressive. That's impressive. They tore down the basketball court, and then they put up the new one with new rims, new everything. I'm like, oh damn. I'm like, all right. I always thought that they were going to tear it down and make some bullshit out of it, like a tennis court. So no, they upgraded that court. They were like, nope. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, weapon lights. You got to be able to identify your target. You know, I remember there was a story where a father, his son was messing around in the backyard, was wearing, I guess he thought he was going to try to imitate like he was in the movie Scream, and he was running around the back of the house, and his father, you know, who had firearms, he went out in the backyard. Now, I don't know whether he had a tactical weapon light or not, but he ended up shooting and killing his own son. You know, that's sort of, and I suspect that, you know, he was shooting in the dark at a shadowy figure. That's poor gun etiquette. Another example of poor gun etiquette. Poor gun etiquette is doing things like shooting through doors because you think that there's a threat on the other side and you have yet to identify the target. You know, you don't do that. You need to identify a target. That's what them cops got in trouble with that Breonna Taylor situation. You just shooting indiscriminately. You don't know who's in there, how many people are in there, whether children are in there, and you just shooting because, you know, you got fired upon, right? You haven't identified shit, right? Or you're just shooting because you felt threatened or you felt that there was a threat on the other side of that door, right? Because that was the whole thing with the Breonna Taylor, the Kenneth Walker situation, right? Where they came in and he thought that they were, you know, there was some ops, and Kenneth Walker fired a shot, and them cops, they let loose, you know. But you got to be able to identify your target. Another example, which is the example that with this young man unfortunately lost his life, is you got a gun in your hand. You don't have a holster. It's not holstered. You're opening the door, but you haven't yet identified what's on the other side of that door. Why are you moving to phase 2 when you haven't identified what's going on in phase 1? You know, again, I've seen enough videos of these police officers. When they see a gun, they just get to shooting and they ask questions later. That's the reality. As a, you know, concealed carry weapons holder, as a rule, I genuinely just avoid police officers. I just avoid them. I see them, I avoid them. I don't interact with them. I don't have conversations with them. I don't talk to them because I don't want to get into a whole bunch of explaining about, oh, I got a firearm. Oh, let me see a permit. Oh, you know, that there's a whole awkward phase even before I pull the damn license out. Even the process of pulling the license out could put me in jeopardy. I'd rather not interact with the police officers. Now, I know a lot of black boomers with their boomer talk, they get on the, that's why nobody should be carrying guns, because, you know, these white police officers, they shoot your ass, right? They got slave mentality. No, I don't think that anybody should operate like that. It is your right to exercise your Second Amendment rights, but you got to be smart about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's rules, and then there's rules, right? There's the unsaid shit. And what I'm telling you is the unsaid shit. You don't want to be shooting in the dark at shadowy figures. You don't want to be shooting through doors. And you don't want to be, you know, if you think that there's a threat, you know what I mean? You don't go towards the threat. You identify if it actually is a threat. You know what I mean? Like I saw the video with the cop banging on the door, hard as hell. It's the sheriff's department banging on the door again, hard as hell. Sheriff's department. Now here's the ugly reality of modern day society is a lot of people got things like earbuds on. You know what I mean? Like me when I'm playing Division 2, I got a headset on. I can't hear shit when I got that headset on. Somebody could be knocking at the door all day, I wouldn't hear it. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like if you're in an apartment or a condo, upstairs, downstairs, you got a basement, right? If you're in the basement, you can't hear, right? If you're if you're in your bedroom and the door is closed and you got music playing and you got the TV on and you got earbuds, you can't hear shit. So I'm saying obviously he heard the banging at the door and he came out, and just opened the door. What he should have done is been like, who is it? And say, oh, it's the sheriff's department. Look through the peephole. And I heard something about, oh, he couldn't see through the peephole. I don't know if his girlfriend said it or whatever. I'm like, I ain't opening the door if I can't identify who's on the other side of the door. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you've seen some of these rings where the people come up and they try to act like they're FedEx, or they try to act like they're the PSE&G guy or something like that, right? They knock on the door, and they got the fluorescent jacket and shit. And as soon as the person opens the door, you know what I mean? They pull out the Glock and try to come in the house home invasion style. That is the reality of the world that we live in. Okay? But it is your responsibility, if you feel that you are threatened, to identify and verify the threat. You know what I mean? Like, the door is a barrier, right? If I have a gun and I feel threatened, I'm not going towards danger. I'm going away from it. The door is a deterrent in and of itself. This is another reason why it's important to have things like rings, so that you can identify, the notification comes up on your little Apple Watch or your smartphone, you know what I mean? And you go and you look at it. Who the hell is at the door? Oh, it's a police officer. Hold on, let me put my gun down. Hold on. You know what I mean? Then you open the door, without having a firearm on your person. I've had police officers, come to my location, and I've had situations where, I'm like, damn, who the hell's knocking like that? They knock like they own the place and shit. You know what I mean? And I've grabbed my gun and I've headed towards the door, and then I'm like, look through the peephole. Oh shit, it's the police. Put the gun down. You know what I'm saying? And I've had shit like that, like neighbors calling because there was a loud boom in the neighborhood, or they heard something, you know what I mean? Or whatever it may be. Like this guy could have been arguing on the phone with his girlfriend, and then, whoever that Karen was across the street, like, oh, it could be a domestic. A woman is in danger. You know what I mean? That type of shit. You gotta be smart about it. All that, it's my God-given right. We have rights too, to the Second Amendment, and I can go into Starbucks with a bazooka on my back because this is America. That's that white boy shit. And again, they get shot too for doing dumb shit and not knowing firearms etiquette. They get shot too. Don't think that they don't, because there's plenty of videos on whether it's police activity or whether it's active self-protection that show situations like that, namely police activity. Because those are the body cams, and the officers aren't always right. That they are scared, they are antsy. You got to know that when dealing with. I don't trust none of these officers, because first off, none of them can shoot better than me. I know that they don't train like me, right? I'm a gun enthusiast. I love guns. Guns are enjoyable to me when I'm using guns. You know what I mean? And I take it very seriously. I've posted pictures of me at the range and shooting targets. Okay? And so I know that there's a lot of cops that, like, I'm telling you, I work out with these guys at the gym. Some of them don't know shit from piss. They don't know they really don't know what type of gun they have. They don't know what type of caliber they're shooting. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. They're not gun people. It's a part of the job. Okay? It's a part of the job. Especially the women. The women is an absolute joke, because most of the time they got Glock 22s or Glock M&P 40s, and the damn gun is too big for their fucking hands. I'm like, the female cops just don't even get me started on them. Okay? No, they're not. They're not as professional as you think they are. I give more credit to soldiers than I do police officers, because soldiers, like, that's their lifeline. Like, they're over there in Afghanistan like, this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Like, they know their shit inside and out. They know what works and what's effective, because they were using it on a daily basis, to fight insurgents and save their own life. Cops, on the other hand, you got cops that go out here, they qualify, and that's about it. They're trying to move up in the ranks any goddamn way. They want to get off of the street. They don't want to be a cop on the beat. They want to be in a cushy office somewhere making, higher incomes. So I'm just saying, all y'all that think, these cops are, they know what they're doing and everything. No. A lot of cops are not even the sharpest tools in the drawer. You know what I mean? You like they're just not. And we see that all over the internet with the way that cops interact with people, the way that cops get sunned by some people, those white guys with the camera that are like, am I being detained? Am I being detained, officer? Okay, well, then I guess I'm free to go, officer. Terry v. Ohio. I mean, they know the law. So now take that same person and then you give them a gun, and then you're expecting them to make split-second decisions with a gun. You gotta be mindful of this, black people. Okay? You gotta be mindful. They are not to be trusted with your life. They're simply not. And if you are a card-carrying, concealed weapon-carrying, law-abiding citizen with your firearm, you gotta understand these politics. You gotta understand them. It's like, I remember, on a completely side note, talking about the way that you're perceived. I remember I was in Philly, and I was at a bar. And a couple weeks earlier, I went to a bar. White girl came up, shot her shot. She was cute. So I was like, okay, what's good? So we go out on another date like a weekend later. Go to another bar. You know what I mean? And she's getting white girl wasted. I mean, white girl wasted. I'm buying drinks, and she just slamming them down. And I was like, whoa. I was like, let's get out of here. You know what I mean? I felt like Batman. Like, cause I'm like, yeah, I'm about to hit this. I feel like Batman. I'm over there like, no, stay with me. Right? She over there about to nod out and shit. I'm like, oh, we got to get out of here. So I'm heading back, and I'm like, yo, my apartment is this way. She's like, that's this way, right? She's just being a complete lush. I'm like, fuck. Right? And I'm outside the bar, everybody outside the bar, a bunch of white dudes outside the bar. I'm like, I'm not arguing with this bitch in front of all these white folks. Fuck that. I was like, all right, I'm going this way, I'm out. Right? Then I kind of felt bad like 3/4 of the way back, and I was like, fuck. I was like, damn, I gotta go back. So I go back, and she's like literally standing in the middle of the fucking street. Like not knowing where I'm like, fuck. So I go, and I'm like, over here. She comes, and then, we go back to the apartment, right? And like, we got in a fight. You left me, all this bullshit. So I kick her out the apartment. I'm like, get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Then she's in the hallway. She's crying in the hallway, right? And then like other people opening the doors. I'm like, fuck. So I got to bring her back in, because I'm like, now I look like the abuser and the evil guy and whatnot. No, she's fucking drunk. She's a lush. She can't handle her goddamn liquor. Like, you know what I mean when I say somebody's a lush? You know how like certain people, their whole personality changes when they get drunk and they drink. You know what I mean? And then like the next morning they're normal again, and then they act like like it's an excuse. Like, I don't know. I don't buy that shit where people are like, they just like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they just turn into a totally different person. And then they use it to justify doing whatever, like wild shit. And then the next day they act like, oh, I totally blacked out. I didn't remember what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was kind of like that. And that's why I was like, nah, I can't fuck with this. I can't fuck with this chick. But in any event, I'm saying that night, I had to be cognizant of the fact that here I am, big black man, with this, small, petite white woman, you know what I mean? And she's a lush, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't really know this chick like that. You know what I mean? I really don't know her like that. Like, we met, like, whatever, like the previous weekend and whatnot, talked a little bit. Oh, let's go out, let's get a drink, da 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 da. Oh, that sounds cute. Let's go do that. And we go do that. I'm drinking. But I mean, obviously, me and my height and my size, it's gonna take a lot more for me to get drunk. It was like I went to the bathroom, came back. This bitch was white girl wasted. I was like, what the? You ain't even drink that much. I think I got her a Long Island iced tea, and then it was like what was it? Long Island iced tea, and I think like 2 Cosmos, and she was done. She was toast, But I had to recognize I'm a black man. I'm with this white girl. A lot of white folks, they don't like that shit. And here she is being a lush, you know what I mean? And she's getting belligerent. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and argue with the bitch. I got to get the fuck on. Right? So even me going back, I wrestle with that shit even to this day. I'm like, should I have gone back and got her and left her and not left her there? You know what I'm saying? Her being a lush. What if something were to happen? Now I'm the last nigga. She left the bar with a big black guy. Fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all type of shit. You know what I mean? I can't just leave her out there. So, again, these are the things that you got to think about. I can't just be like, well, I'm an American and she was being a bitch, so I left the bitch. That she's grown. Like, yeah, I could say all that, but how's it gonna play out in my favor? Is that going to play out in my favor? Cops knocking at the door, boom, 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 boom. Guns drawn and shit. You were the last person to be seen with it. I'm like, motherfucker, you can go and look at the cameras on the damn apartment building that I walked in. Did we come in the building together? Yeah, that's because you chopped her up and ditched her body somewhere. Fuck. Now, how do I prove that? Right? I gotta find, there he goes walking past the bodega. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta have something as evidence that, like, no, I left the bar and went straight home. Do I really want that situation? No. But I gotta be mindful of that. I gotta be cognizant of the reality of being a black man in this country. And literally having a gun on you, and I hate saying this because people are gonna be like, I'm trying to deter black men from exercising the Second Amendment. But the best way I could put it is you gotta act like when you have a gun on your person as a black man, it's like walking around with a white woman. In like that Birth of a Nation type of connotation, right? That Woodrow Wilson type of connotation. That's literally what it's like. You know what I mean? Because the way that people are going to react to you with your gun is kind of like how racists will act with you being with a white woman. They're not going to react the same way as a white man with a gun. It's not. Their mind immediately goes to it shit being illegal. And on top of that, like, people say, oh, that's racist. You can't really blame them. You know what I'm saying? Because, and this is why I've been saying we need more black men to exercise their Second Amendment rights and make black men with firearms a normal thing for law-abiding black men. And not where the reputation where it currently stands is black man with gun equals criminality. You know what I'm saying? Go watch music videos like, I don't know, Pull Up With a Stick or freaking Future Stick Talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what people associate black men with guns with. And you already know that the cops associate black men with guns, with that. But in my opinion, even regardless of whatever the cops' biases are or whatever his racial beliefs are, you got to be on top of your game when it comes to firearms etiquette. Another example of firearms etiquette. You see people, talking this dumb shit, talking about clearing their house. Maybe you could clear your house if you got to get to, let's say, a child's bedroom and you recognize that somebody has broken and entered your house. Alarm is going off, glass shattered downstairs, or especially, if you live on a single floored house like a rancher, where now you're on the same level as, the perp, right? That's in your home and you got to get to your child's bedroom. That's different. But If it's just you and your girl and somebody breaks in, no, what you should do is barricade yourself in the bedroom, call 911, and have the gun pointed at the door and say, I'm in the bedroom, barricading the bedroom, I do have a firearm, and the person is in my house. Right? That's what you say. And the cop, when they get to the bedroom, whatever, LAPD, NYPD, da-da-da-da-da, and you say, hey, I'm in here, I'm putting the firearm down, yada, 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 you know what I mean? And then they enter the room, okay? I'm the homeowner, da-da-da-da-da, and that's how that shit goes. You don't try to John Wick your way, through the damn house. You don't do that shit, So, again, firearms etiquette. There's nothing cool about it. There's nothing cool about it. The reality of owning a firearm is the fact that you could lose the gunfight. You could die. But at least it gives you a fighting chance, and you're just not out here, just being, cannon fodder, for somebody else, just being, a helpless victim. But you got to keep these things in mind. Tactical lights, threat identification, not shooting through doors, not opening doors that you don't know what's on the other side of that door. I mean, even just standing in, he was literally standing in the fatal funnel, as some of the, SWAT team guys will say. Just standing there with the gun. You opened the door and you didn't know what was on the other side of that door. I don't want to blame him. I'm just saying that was a major contributing factor to his death. You're holding a gun, you open the door, you didn't know who was on the other side of the door. Right? Because clearly he did not hear that it was a police officer, that it was the sheriff, when he came to the door. Because nobody of sound mind hears that it's the police at the door and then comes to the door with a gun, doesn't, and if they know that it's the police officers, and then secondly, don't even take the time to look through the peephole. I think peepholes are freaking mandatory on any apartment in an apartment complex. That's mandatory to be able to identify who's on the other side of the door. And then we could throw in things like the ring, like having rings. Now, I don't know why somebody would have a ring in an apartment complex, because somebody could snatch it off. That's arguable. But I'm saying they got there's like door things that you can put on the door where you can see, what's on the other side. There's cheap cameras. You can go on AliExpress, Alibaba, and get some cheap cameras that will, that will let you see, what's on the other side of the door. So I'm just saying, all of this has to be taken into consideration as a black man with a firearm. You can sit there and you can say, well, that's not right, and that's racism, and I want to have the full rights of any white American, and I want to be treated as such. You can say that, but it's unrealistic to think that you're going to be treated in that way. Where the whole concept is for us to move in that direction, but you got to understand where you are right now. You got to understand the country that you live in right now. And again, I can't say that this was an entirely racist situation, because I have seen the videos that are right here on YouTube, on this platform, of white dudes getting smoked the exact same way. They get smoked the exact same way because some woman made a phone call, and the cops come there thinking they're going to be a hero on some shit, and that there's some perp that's dangerous, and there he is. They got a gun, right? And I hear people on the, how long should a police officer wait? Because I'm not too keen on the, put the gun down. Don't even let a person register, put the gun down, and then they're just blasting. I got an issue with that shit, 100%. But I'm trying to tell y'all what the real deal is. What Tariq is saying, what Amazing Lucas is saying, again, not gun guys. Not gun guys. Don't run scenarios in their head. There's a lot of people, they go to the gun store, they buy a gun, and then they put that gun in the freaking dresser, or on their nightstand, and that gun Well, I've seen people, the people that kill me, yeah, I got a gun, and they go and they show me the gun that they got, and guess where the gun is? The gun is in the same box, in the same case, in the same plastic that they bought it from the gun store. So I'm like, so let me get this right. So if something were to happen, like right now, you gotta forget having a lock on it. You gotta run to where your box is, open the box, pull the gun out of the plastic. You don't have any of the magazines loaded. None of the bullets are in the magazine. The bullets are somewhere else in another drawer. I'm like, how is this going to protect you in the home? Like, they feel like, oh, I have a gun and it's in the house and I'm good. This is the whole stupid thing about, guns and ammunition should be separate. Fuck all that shit. The magazine should be full. The magazine is in the gun, and the chamber is empty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had that shit. What is that? Condition. What is that shit? What is the condition? Is that what condition 1? I think that's condition 1. I think condition 0 is the magazine is out of the gun. I'll have to look that up. I think that's condition 1. Like how they talk about like cops when they have a shotgun in their vehicle. It's called cruiser ready, where all the shells are in the magazine tube, and all they got to do is rack the pump, and then they're ready to go. Right? And that's how the gun should be in your home. Magazine, full magazine in, the grip of the gun, but the bullet is no bullet in the chamber. You haven't racked the slide yet. It's not ready to go. It's not ready to fire. That is how it should be. But I'm telling you, a lot of people, they talk all this gun shit. I can smell I have guns. I exercise my Second Amendment right. Or if they say I have a gun, they have one gun. I'm like, damn, you got one gun? That means you didn't get into the AR-15 game. You ain't get into the shotgun game. All you got into is a mid-sized compact handgun game. You ain't even get into the micro compact game. That's all that tells me. I know people that they have guns and they it literally says what the caliber of the gun is on the barrel, and they haven't even gotten the right caliber. Like they didn't even buy the bullets yet. And I get it. A lot of people are strapped for cash. They go and they get the gun. They feel good they have the gun. They don't go to the range. They don't practice. Right? They never fired the gun. You ever see a person shoot the gun that doesn't have a proper grip? They're doing teacup. They're teacupping it, and the gun goes off, and it freaking rocks in their hand, all wiggles in the air and shit before they reacquire the target. No. That shit should be like a sewing machine in your hand where that slide is just going back like tick, 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 tick. That's how that shit should be. You know what I mean? You should be on some Chris Costa shit. But again, not gun people. People just we got to do better. We got to do better. It's unfortunate that this young man died, but people should learn from his mistakes. We can talk about, the cop fucked up. The cop did fuck up. But by the same token, we can't sit here and pretend like this young man didn't make any mistakes. He most certainly made mistakes. Just by looking at the video, I'm like, oh, you come to the door with the gun. You didn't look through the peephole to see if it was a cop. You know what I mean? And then you swing the door open. I'm like, oh, man. No. Like Hitler, 999999999, right? No. That's not how you do it. And again, this young man, 23, he's only had his gun permit for 2 years. He's, in the military, thought, I'm in the military. I should exercise my Second Amendment rights because I'm in the military and that's what we do. We handle guns. But I'm like, his firearms etiquette was trash. It was trash. I'm going to call it like I see it. It was trash. His death, albeit tragic, his gun etiquette was trash. And that's something that y'all got to be cognizant of. You got to be aware of. You're not going to get the same default treatment. You know what I mean? I see guys that running around that, oh, I'm concealed carrying. They don't have a proper holster. You know what I mean? You got these young boy idiots online with the extendos. Like, where are you concealing that, my guy? Where are you concealing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they think it's cool to print and show off their gun and everything, and the next thing you know, you got some nervous Karen that called the cops because they saw you with a gun, and they're anti-gun. There's a lot of people out here who are anti-gun. That's another thing. There's Karens out here that'll call the cops on you just off of the strength of the fact that they don't like guns. And they most certainly don't like guns, and then they don't like the idea of a black man, having the end of time on his hip and having a gun. So you've doubly offended them. So they're going to call the cops. I saw a black man and he had a gun. And then, and the next thing you know, the cops are showing up, and you getting approached and you like, what's the problem? That has happened before. And they got the car, got the, ID out. They already showed like videos where, the black men getting treated differently than white men. The white guy walking down the street with a gun, AR-15 on his back. He's exercising his constitutional rights. Black man walking down the street with an AR-15, and the cop immediately draws down on him. The bias is there. It's there. And you just have to know how to be aware of it and navigate around it. You're not always going to get it right. Sometimes you get some overzealous cop that just feels some type of way about black people owning firearms. And they're overly aggressive about it. You see? And you got to be mentally prepared to deal with that. You can't get loud. You can't get irate. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for to fuck with you. They're looking for you to try to, pull some white boy shit. Am I being detained, officer? They're looking for that shit. I'm videotaping for my safety and yours, It is my right to videotape you, officer. You serve the public. I pay your taxes. Right? That's white boy shit. Do you know who my father is? White boy shit. So you got to recognize we don't get that. What is it? 93% of all law enforcement are Caucasians. Right? I'm just telling you the real deal. You want to feel some type of way about it, feel some type of way about it. This is the reality. And if I had a son and he was 21, I'd be telling him the same thing. I'm like, understand the bonus round responsibilities that go with owning a firearm and carrying a firearm. Understand that. But I don't have much else to say about it. I'm going to finish Tariq's video. I'm like 30 minutes in and he still hasn't really addressed the shit. He talking about reparations and stuff, race soldiers and shit like that. And I'm not saying that this officer, is racist, but here's the thing, what y'all don't know about Florida, because Florida, was a stomping ground for a while for me. And everybody got guns in Florida. Everybody got guns in Florida. You know what I mean? So, and not only that, a lot of drugs come in through Florida. So a lot of the cops down there are antsy. You know what I mean? They're antsy in Florida. You know what I mean? I was down there. I mean, I've been all over Florida, but I'm saying I was in right outside Miami. You know what I'm saying? And they had I remember they had a raid. It was like one of these white boy Rasta. I never seen it. He was like a white Haitian. Like he looked like a white Haitian, like when I say a white Haitian, he looked like the fucking voodoo dudes in Bad Boys, the first one. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? What did he say? He was like, the devil is not welcome here, right? Like that shit, right? Yeah, that, even though, which was weird, because I'm like, how are they Haitian? Because they sound like Jamaicans. But anyway, you know what I mean? That scene, when they were in the house, yeah, dude he had a white dude with wicks. He had wicks. I was like, I ain't never seen no shit like that. Looking like Post Malone with the tattoos on his face. And I remember hearing that fucking explosion. It was like, pop. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, they fucking either used something to blow his door open, or hit his shit with some flashbangs. But I heard that shit from the apartment I was in. I was like, yo, check this shit out. Pop! Just went in there. And I mean, they had all these plainclothes officers out there, with the plate carriers, jeans, jeans and t-shirt, backwards baseball caps. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like they descended on this shit. It's like they got a phone call 5 minutes ago, and whatever they were doing, they rushed over there. I mean, it's a different animal in Florida. But they're used to, the cops are heavily armed in Florida. The cops in Florida are probably the most heavily armed. No, they are the most heavily armed law enforcement I've ever seen. Because they come out with them sticks. They got rifles and everything. Like what you saw with those the U.S. Marshals or whatever they were in North Carolina, the 4 that got killed, by that guy that was that had the shootout with them, like dressed like that with rifles, because Florida is so heavily armed. So those Florida cops, they are ready. Go pull up videos on YouTube. Pull up videos on YouTube of shootouts in Florida, and you will see black men shooting at the cops in those shootouts. So me being familiar with Florida, I know those Florida police officers. I know they ready. They're ready at all times. They're ready to be shot at, and they're ready to shoot back. So while everybody's jumping up and saying, oh, this is a Bassem Youssef, another example, and this is another Philando Castile, situation. I feel you on the fact that, if it seems like the cops are always overzealous, when they're interacting with us. And I would agree with you that they are. But I'm telling you, you still got to be on top of your firearms etiquette game, especially when you're dealing with police officers. You just got to be. And you got to make certain decisions. Like example, some states you have to notify a police officer. You know what my motto is? I'm not notifying a police officer that I have a gun on my person unless the police officer tells me that I need to get out of the vehicle. Then I will notify the police officer, because if it's just a traffic stop for a speeding violation, then that's what we're going to keep it. I don't care what the state law is. Because telling the police officer, a white police officer, I have a fire, now I've just changed the entire dynamic of our interaction. You know what I'm saying? My hands are still going to be on the steering wheel, yada, 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 all that shit. When they get to the guns on my side anyway, typically underneath my damn seatbelt, so I can't get to it anyway. But to sit there and do all that, I'm not doing all that. I'm handing him my license. If he asks me, do you have any guns, in the vehicle, I will tell him I have guns in the vehicle. But other than that, no, I'm not forthcoming with. It's a speeding stop, and it's going to be a speeding stop until notified otherwise. You got to be smart about the shit. I evoke my own morals and my own principles and my own ideas and my own concepts of keeping my ass safe. And that's what you got to do, as a black firearms owner. Anyway, I'm done with this video. Like I said, I'm ended up sitting in the parking lot like I was. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.